Welcome to our Facebook Live. It is Monday, February 3rd, and I'm happy you're here with me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in the world. Do me a favor and in the comments section say hello and tell me where you're from. I'm happy to have you all with me here today. There's also a link to our Common Sense Parenting with Pam Facebook group that we invite you to join. And you can check out the website PamelaPalanza.com for more of our Facebook Lives and some other good content. Today we're talking about a topic I think that affects a lot of parents. And let me just stop for a second and tell you, this is our very first 15-minute Facebook Live. Moving forward, they're only going to be from 12:15 to 12:30 every Monday. So join me then. Okay, nagging. Do you have to nag your children to get them to listen? Do you like doing that? Is that fun for you? Well, we're going to talk today about how you can stop nagging your children and get them to listen the first time you speak. Now, I know some people are going to say, can you do that for my husband or my partner or my girlfriend? Yeah, that's not what this is about. Although some of this may work, but this is for your children. So here's the deal. You ask your children to do something and they ignore you, and you have to tell them again and again and again. And then you get frustrated and you go, how many times do I have to tell you? Are you not listening to me when I speak? What is wrong with you? Or you start yelling, okay? So how can you change that behavior and how can you change your children's behavior? That's what we're going to talk about today. All right, let's get started here. So I think first it's important to ask, like, why do children not respond in the first place? Well, there's a couple reasons. One is they may have been trained by you that they don't have to listen to you until you nag repeatedly, or you get to the point where you're yelling. So they ignore you, they ignore you, they ignore you, you yell, and now all of a sudden you have their attention. But what that has done is taught them we can ignore mom or dad the first however many times it is until they lose it. Then we better pay attention because now we know they really mean it, right? Or they could be distracted. They could be watching something or doing something and you think they're hearing you, but they're not because they're so engaged in what they're doing that they've really just tuned you out. Or it could be that what you're asking them to do just isn't as important to them as it is to you, right? So like they're busy doing something, playing with their toys or playing a video game, and you go, okay, time to clean your room. And they ignore you because they're like, we don't want to do this. And maybe if we pretend we don't hear, then we can get away with this for a while longer. That's just normal behavior, okay? But that's some of the reasons why they do not listen the first time you speak. Now, let me just say, if you want to implement some of these strategies I'm going to give you, great. But here's what you need to understand. What your children have learned has been learned behavior so far, how they need to respond to you when you speak. Now you're going to try to change that behavior, right? So you want to retrain them in a new way of responding. But that means you're also retraining yourself because you are where it starts. Okay, now I'm not shaming anybody or blaming judgment. I'm just saying it is what it is. So as a parent, you need to retrain yourself and learn these techniques so that you can then manage their behavior more effectively. And you need to know this isn't going to happen overnight. This is a process. It could take weeks. It could take a month. As a parent, you need to commit to using these strategies, following through on them, following through on the consequences the first time. Because when you are consistent, and I've said this a million times, say what you mean and mean what you say, be consistent and follow through. 4 easy steps. That's basically what parenting is in a nutshell. So as long as you are willing to do that and commit to that, great. You'll probably have some success. Now, in the past, when I have recommended strategies to parents on Facebook Lives or Reels or whatever, sometimes they'll come back to me and go, oh, I tried it, it didn't work. Okay, but how many times did you try it? Did you just try it once or twice? Well, of course it's not going to work because this is something new and your children aren't used to it. And they're like, what? And you get frustrated and you quit. Okay, so let me see. Hey, Sarah. So you need to commit. If you're going to do this, you need to commit to this. Yes, it's going to take some time for you. Yes, it's going to be a little different than what you're used to doing. But guess what? Eventually, your children are going to get it, and then things are going to be much more pleasant for everybody involved. So you need to make that commitment at first before even trying this stuff, okay? So let's get started. Here's what happens a lot of times. Say your child's in the room playing with their toys, and you go past and you go, hey, I need you to clean your toys up, please. Time to clean them up. And then you just yell it in the room as you're walking past, or tell them as you're walking past. You go in the kitchen, you start making dinner. And then what happens? They keep playing with their toys because they're children. They don't want to clean them up. They want to play with their toys. So you're in there cooking, and 10 minutes later you go and you go, I asked you to clean your toys up. Why aren't you cleaning your toys up? They're like, oh, man. You're like, I don't want to hear that. You need to clean them up. You need to play with them. Blah, and all this discussion starts, and all this reasoning starts, and all this negotiating starts. No. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to get your children's attention first. This means you walk up to your child. You get on their eye level. You give them eye contact, and you ask them to give you eye contact. You touch their arm. You touch their shoulder. Something to let them know, I'm connecting here, and I need you to listen. Okay? Here's an example. My 3-year-old grandson. I keep him every Wednesday morning. We have a blast together. If I need him to do something, I'll go up to him and I'll say, Mikey, I'll say, come here, buddy. And if he doesn't come, I'll go to him. And I get done, I'll say, Mikey, I need you to look at me, buddy. There's something I need to tell you. I need you to listen. And I'll say, you need to go put your shoes away, please. And he'll go, oh, okay. And he'll put his shoes away. Now, if he doesn't, I would take him by the hand and walk him over to put his shoes away. I wouldn't say it again. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. That's just a strategy you can use. But my point is, and sometimes I'll even say to him, do you understand? And he'll say, mm-hmm. Or he'll go, no. You can tell he's like rolling his eyes. No. And he'll say, no. I'll say, you need to go put your shoes away, please. Then he'll go put them away. And I'll say specifically, put them in the basket, because they have baskets that their shoes go in. I'll say, you need to put your shoes in the basket. Now, with older children, you can be a little less specific. They're going to understand that. And with younger children, you're going to use one command at a time. So from like your 2 to your 5s, one command at a time. When you start, like, go to your room, get your shoes, grab your backpack, grab your coat, and then they go away, and then you find them 5 minutes later in the room playing with their toys, and you go, what are you doing? I told you to come in here, get your shoes, get your backpack, we got to go. What are you doing? Come on. And they're looking at you like, what? Because all they heard was go into your room. And they did that. They followed that command, and they go in their room, or that direction. They go in the room, and then there's toys in there they can play with, or they get distracted with something. They've totally forgotten everything else you told them. Don't waste your breath. One command at a time for younger children, okay? It's very simple. Okay, so you're going to say what you want one time, and then you are going to take action. This is where you say what you mean what you say, follow through. So here's an example. You don't repeat yourself at all. You don't say it again. You move directly to action. Here's an example. It's time for dinner. And you say to your child, please put your toys away before dinner right now. Okay, please, I need you to do this right now, please. And they do. And you're like, oh, thank you so much for putting your toys away. Because when they comply, you always reinforce with positive behavior, right? Positive behavior with reinforcement, praise. Thank you. Now we can get ready for dinner sooner, or whatever it is, right? If they don't, say you've asked your child to put their toys away and they don't. You don't say a word. You don't repeat yourself. You don't negotiate. You don't reason. You don't ask how they're feeling. You take their toys. You stop what you're doing. You take your toys. You put them away. Don't say a word. Stay calm, neutral. No problem. Put them away. And then they go, where's my toys, Mommy? Where's my toys? Well, I asked you to put them away. You chose not to. And I always would say you chose, to let them know that was their responsibility. They chose to ignore it. So now you can have them back tomorrow and you can try again. So whatever it is, if it's their shoes, well, you didn't put your shoes away like I asked you to, so these are going to go up, and you won't have them to wear tomorrow. You have to find something else to wear. That's it. And that's end of discussion. You don't get into any follow-up discussion with them. You don't rationalize, explain. And what I say all the time is parents, yuck at the children. There's none of that necessary. You said what you wanted them to do. You asked them nicely. They chose not to do it. These are the natural consequences. Because guess what? That is how life is. And they need to learn at a very young age that they're not always going to get their way, and they can't always ignore things. That some things need immediate attention. And this is one of them. When mama speaks, they need to listen. And if you are consistent with this, they're eventually going to understand, oh, she said it, I better do it. Now, it's not that you're being hateful or commanding or bossy. You're merely stating fact. You need to put your toys away, please, before dinner. That's it. Okay? Simple. Okay, now let's say you said to your child, okay, it's time for bed. Let's get your pajamas on. And they ignore you. You don't say another word. You take them by the hand. You walk them upstairs. You hand them their pajamas. That's it. Walk away. They know they need to get their pajamas on, right? Let me see who's hopping in here. Hi, Mariana. So you, one direction, they don't follow through. In this case, you walk them. So say it's time to brush their teeth before bed. Let's say, okay, time to brush your teeth, guys. Let's go. And they ignore you. You don't say a word. Take them by the hand, walk them to the bathroom, and you just say, would you like to brush your teeth now, or do you need my help? That's it. Done. And they either have to brush their teeth or you're helping them. It's not, do you want to brush your teeth? It's, how do you want to brush your teeth? They are going to get done what they are supposed to get done. You may have to help them, but you didn't have to repeat yourself. You didn't say, brush your teeth, brush your teeth. Why didn't you brush your teeth? I told you 5 minutes ago to brush your teeth. And this is where I find parents get so frustrated, and I don't blame them. One time, you say it one time, that's it. And then you follow through with action. They're eventually going to get it. So say you're at the park. Okay, this is a good one. You're at the park with your children, and you need to say to your children in the beginning of this, when you start implementing this new strategy, and if they're old enough, you explain it to them. Guys, you know what? A lot of times I have to repeat myself to you, and you don't always listen the first time. Well, that's going to change. We're changing things up. From now on, I only tell you something one time. That's it. And if you don't, you're going to have consequences, or you're going to lose privileges, or whatever it is. One time. So say you're at the park. Who just hopped in? Hi, Michael. State of confusion. Aren't we all, especially as parents? State of confusion. That is the truth. This is confusing. Parenting is a very confusing thing sometimes. Okay, you're at the park. You tell your children. Now, you should always do this, like before you even get out of the car. Okay, we're going to the park. We're going to stay X amount of time. When I tell you it's time to go, it's time to go. Not open for discussion. We're not rash. We're going. Okay, period. And you say, I will not repeat myself. Mommy does not repeat herself. So you're at the park. You tell them, okay, let's go. Time to go. And they comply. They're like, okay, great. Off they go. You're like, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Way to go. Thank you. Whatever. Now they don't. Let's say they don't. And most of the time, they don't, right? You have to tell them a couple times. So with your younger children, you don't say anything. You pick them up. Carry them off. Put them in the car. They scream, they cry. They scream, they cry. You don't engage in that. You don't have to see how they're feeling about it, help them regulate it. You put their behinds in the car and off you go. No discussion. If they're older, you can say, okay, time to go. And if they balk at it, you start walking away. Now I'm talking if they're 10, 11, 12. And you're keeping an eye on them, but you start walking away to the car. Now they know you mean it. Now you're certainly not going to strain your children there. But you can go and wait for them to catch up to you. And then you just say something like, you chose not to come when I told you. Now you've just lost 10 minutes of device time, or when we get home, now you're going to have to scrub the tub for me. That's it. That's all. You didn't repeat yourself again. You said you chose to ignore the direction, and these are your consequences. Period. And then you follow through with those. Now with my grandson, what I do with him, and he's 3, and he loves, like, they're competitive at that age, where you say, I bet you can't beat me to the car, and then he takes off running. I bet you can't hop like a bunny, and he hops like a bunny. So you can make it a game, but you're not repeating yourself about it's time to go. Are you following me here? Does this make sense to you? Hey, Harold. Let's see. Susanna. Let me pop in here and see some people here because we're almost done. Okay. Susanna, hello from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Harold Lynn. I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you. I'm glad you value my advice. I love sharing them. Okay. So the bottom line of all of this is, first of all, you connect with your children. You give them a direction. You follow through, and you praise them when they do that. And I want you to remember, this is going to be a process. This is not happening overnight. But if you are consistent, say what you mean what you say, follow through every single time, you're going to see a difference in your children's behavior and in your sanity. Does that make sense? Okay, we have a minute left. If anybody has any questions. Oh, hi, Aves. Am I saying that right? From, I don't know what country that is. That's too small for my eyes to see. Canada, maybe? I only wear one contact. So sometimes it's harder for me to see. But anyway, if any of you have any questions, please feel free to put them in here, and I will be checking them this afternoon and can respond to them. Hi, Alyssa. And also, if you've missed any of my other Facebook Lives, on the website, PamelaPalanza.com, all of the Facebook Lives that I've done since day one are all up there. So you can go back and catch those and catch my podcast where I talk about a lot of all this. The Parenting Vault is on there, and also I'm starting a new service called Ask Pam where you can ask me questions. That information will be up on the site in a couple of days. But I'm glad you joined me, and until next week, remember, hug and love your babies.